Let me know that you're here. Who's logging in here today? I'm always excited to see who's logging in here today. Let's pull up some questions, comments as we are getting started here today with this new topic of overthinking. This is something I often get as a hypnotist is what is overthinking? So we'll give it a couple more minutes here as people kind of log in. And as I mentioned, go ahead and go into that link in the description to interact. I hope you all are as excited about this topic as I am. So we'll get started here in just a couple minutes as people kind of jump in here and figure out what's going on. Let me know that you're here. For those of you who are watching now, let me know that you're here. Who do we have here watching today? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And let me know by jumping in at the eCam link in the description. So go ahead and do that now. And we will get started. If this is your first time to this group, if you're new, I want to welcome you all to the Beat Your Anxiety group. This is the group for people who have been at war with themselves, who have been at war with their anxiety, who have been battling anxiety if most of your life. Let's just say if you're in this group, you're probably asking questions like, how do I overcome anxiety? How do I get rid of my anxiety? How do I reclaim my life from anxiety? How do I sleep better? Right? I work with sleep often as a hypnotist. And this is a tough one, right? Because sleep itself is an unconscious process. Sleep itself is something that happens without you knowing about it. Like, you never remember that moment you slip into sleep, right? Like, you can't remember that moment that you slip into sleep, right? So it's not something you can control. You see that? But over the years, I always had issues sleeping as a kid. I always struggled to sleep as a kid. And my issues with sleep had a lot of layers to it. And first of all, let me know that you guys can hear me. Go ahead and let me know in the comments that you guys can hear me, okay? Make sure I have this mic on the right setting here. So go ahead and let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me. And also be sure to join at the link if you want to interact. So oftentimes clients come to me with this question of how do I stop overthinking? And what I'm going to give you here is going to be not a therapist's or a doctor's answer, because you guys have already done that. You guys have already seen doctors. You've already seen therapists. I am not a doctor or a therapist. I am a hypnotist and a neurolinguist. So what I specialize in is your body's, your nervous system's response to things and situations and people around you, and including what goes on and the language you use inside yourself. So oftentimes people think that anxiety is something that attacks you. It's something that attacks you. And it's something that actually is coming up inside of you. And it can feel like an attack, right? That's why we call it a panic attack or an anxiety attack. But the problem with that is it leaves us feeling powerless, right? Especially if you're having generalized anxiety, which is what doctors call it's the diagnosis for people who just always have sort of a low grade of anxiety. And often we blame it on overthinking. Like overthinking, we say, oh, it's because of overthinking is why I'm experiencing anxiety. And the problem with this statement, even while it may be because you are doing this activity that you're feeling anxious, if we hinge right, if we hinge the issue of anxiety on this thing called overthinking, this habit of overthinking, then that renders us powerless. You see what I mean? Like, it's like saying, I'm anxious because I live next door to a dog, or I'm near a dog. Like, that will leave you powerless, because then your anxiety is always dependent on where this dog is, or in this case, what you're thinking about or how much you're thinking. So first of all, I'm going to give you the one answer to this. This question of like, what does it even mean to overthink? Like, what is overthinking? Where does this come from? Why do we use it? It's very colloquial to just say, hey, I have a tendency to overthink, or you're overthinking. It's very colloquial to say this. Everyone just kind of passes this around, and we use this as a reason why we feel the way we do. And yet we don't even know what we're really saying here. Like, what does it mean to overthink? Right? Can you underthink? Right? If there's overthinking, can you underthink? Like, where's the line? How do you measure where you move from thinking into overthinking? How can you measure that? Is this resonating with you guys? How can you measure overthinking? Because if there's overthinking, there has to be underthinking. So this statement, overthinking itself, is not even real. This is a concept and idea. It's a label for something else. So when we sit around and ask the question of how do I stop overthinking, you will, again, going back to things like depression and anxiety disorder and these nominalizations, self-esteem. If you keep trying to fix these things, you're always going to have them. You're always going to have them. Why? Because you're always focused on it. If you say I have low self-esteem, which means in order to fix it, you have to keep focusing on your low self-esteem, right? If you feel like you have depression and you're trying to go about fixing it by like, how do I fix my depression? You always have to be focused on your depression to fix it. You see that? Like, your focus is always on what you don't want in order to fix it. And that's the problem with this process that people typically people typically take. It's like, let me go read some books about depression. Let me go talk about my anxiety with my friend or a doctor. As long as you're talking about it, it exists. As long as you're talking about it, you're going to feel it. And so what hypnotists do, the approach hypnotists take, is to switch your attention, is to put your attention on something else completely. Because think of it like this. Here's a great example. If let's take the concept of self-esteem here, of I have low self-esteem. If you're watching this video, you've probably uttered these words. If you're trying to fix your low self-esteem, what do you have to be doing? You have to be focusing on your low self-esteem, right? And maybe if you have low self-esteem, you feel anxious around people. You feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you're not worthy. You feel intimidated. You feel fear. So you have to go out and keep focusing on all of these things. You're going to keep focusing on all of these things, which you will never fix by focusing on those things. You will never feel better by focusing on depression. Do you see what I'm saying now? This might be a bit clearer now. You will never feel better by focusing on depression. You will never feel happy by focusing on anxiety. This should be like a mind blown moment for you guys. You will never fix these things if you're focused on them. The real solution here to overthinking is to switch your focus. Because if overthinking isn't real, right? Where is the line between thinking and overthinking? It doesn't exist. Why? Because overthinking doesn't. You can't overthink. Now, you can think in ways and in patterns that make you feel anxious. So here's what we get to work with here. You can think in ways that make you feel sad or fearful. And that's oftentimes what people are referring to, what they mean, right? I'm here to help you close the gap between what you want to say, what you want to feel, what you want to learn, and what you want to accomplish. The gap between that and what you're actually doing. Like, what are your intentions and what is your behavior? That gap between your intentions and your behavior. Because there is a gap there. And you want to make sure that your behavior matches your intentions, right? Or you're going to be not only manipulating others, but you're going to be manipulating yourself. And that's a whole nother video for another time. So here's how I help clients with overthinking, is first recognize you can't overthink. You can't overthink, right? Now, you can think in ways that make you feel anxious. You can think in patterns that make you feel, again, sad, depressed, lonely, fearful. And this is what we want to work with here. So let's just give the example of, and for those of you watching, is this resonating with you? Give this video a like. Let me know if this is you. Is this resonating with you? What's coming up for you as you're watching here? And I know you're watching, so if you sit there and be quiet, right, you're not going to get as much out of this video. If you're not going to get as much out of this video if you're not interacting. So are you just sitting around watching video after video and not doing anything? That's also another habit, right? I just watch videos and I don't change my life. This is another trap I see people fall into. Like, just watching videos is enough. Like, reading books is enough. It's not enough. If you want to change your life, you have to start engaging yourself in life. You have to start engaging yourself in your activities, including thinking in this case. So how you think. So for a long time for me, I always struggled with falling asleep. And of course, like everyone else, I blamed overthinking. I overthink. No, you don't overthink, right? Because we have learned here today that it is impossible to overthink. You can't think over. You can't overthink. It doesn't make any sense. But we think in patterns that make us feel anxious. So when I would lie in bed at night, and this is often people who struggle to fall asleep because of anxiety, is that you're thinking in thoughts that make you feel anxious. And it could look something like, oh, did I do that thing? Or I forgot to do this thing, or I need to do that. Or what if this happens? What resonates with you here? For those of you watching, which one of these resonate with you? What ifs? Are you a maybe monster? I like to call my clients who what if all their time away, maybe monster. Are you a maybe monster? Or do you go through a to-do list? Or do you feel guilt or shame when you're lying in bed? Like, what are your thinking patterns creating for you? Because if you stop overthinking, right? If you stop thinking in those ways, which will lead to you stop feeling those ways, then are you overthinking? Probably not. No, the answer is no. So what is the solution here to this? The first solution here, obviously, is to stop trying to fix overthinking. Stop trying to fix that. Stop reading articles about overthinking. Like, you're just and watching videos on how do I stop overthinking. Now, of course, I've titled this video that, right? Because if I didn't, if I titled this video "Overthinking Doesn't Exist," right? Some people might battle with that. They might have a hard time understanding that right away. So stop trying to fix this overthinking and start focusing on what you're thinking about. You see that? What we're doing here is we're breaking down, we're moving from this nominalization to the habit itself. So what are you thinking about that's giving you this feeling? When you're overthinking, what's the feeling? How do you know you're overthinking? That would be my first question to a client. How do you know you're overthinking? Like, what are you experiencing? Is there a picture in your mind? Are you feeling a certain way? Are you replaying a movie of the past? Are you hearing your mother talk? Or are you hearing your teacher talk from when you were 5, right? See what I mean? And for those of you tuning in, click the link in the description to interact with this video. I cannot see your comments or questions on the group now that we are in this fancy new software. So if you do want to interact, you want to ask questions, jump into the link in the description. The eCam link will take you to where I can see your questions and your comments. So this will be the first and last stop for you if you struggle with overthinking. Let's back up here. We've learned overthinking doesn't exist. What does exist is thinking. What does exist is thinking. So what are you thinking about that's giving you this feeling of overthinking? How do you experience overthinking? It's going to be different for everybody, and it's going to show up in different places for everybody, right? For some people, it may show up when they're lying in bed at night. For some people, it may show up when they're trying to get work done, or when they're doing before a public presentation, right? Or before you're about to do a sales call, or maybe when you're on a sales call, or when you're in a meeting, right? Oftentimes, these feelings show up at the worst, most inconvenient times, right? So how do you experience overthinking is my first question. And go ahead and put your comments below. How do you experience overthinking? Think about that question right now. This is going to help put you on the right track to solving this. If you're tuning in here today, obviously you're asking this question. So go ahead and put it in the comments. How do you experience overthinking? Because there's some signal from your body that's telling you this, right? And it could be a thought, it could be a feeling, it could be a picture that you're playing in your mind. That's how we experience ourselves, and that's how we experience the things around us. So, what is the next step after this? After asking yourself this question, what's the next step? The solution here is really what we're doing here is we're building awareness around our thoughts and around when we think or feel this experience of overthinking, right? So how can you start to get out of this? How do you start to get out of this? Well, what do you want to do instead? How do you want to feel instead is what I would ask my clients. If you're not overthinking, then what are you doing? What are you doing when you're successful? And oftentimes I'll hear something like, well, my mind is still, or I feel relaxed, or I'm able to concentrate, I'm able to focus, right? What is that answer for you? Go ahead and drop that in the comments. What is that answer for you? How do you know when you're not overthinking? This is a good one too. How do you know when you're not overthinking? So oftentimes when we're doing this thing called overthinking and we're feeling these feelings, anxiety, fear, we may be going into paralysis, any feeling that's coming up that's getting in the way of you moving forward, right? Oftentimes people say overthinking is getting in the way of me moving forward. And one thing I always recommend, like here's one, I'm going to give you a few bullets here that is going to help you move out of this experience of overthinking. And one of these changes that I made was to start setting boundaries. If you're here and you're struggling with overthinking, guess what? There's a boundary issue, especially if you find yourself overthinking in bed. If you're overthinking in bed, and it's keeping you up at night, there's a boundary issue between you and yourself, between you and your thinking. And one thing that has transformed my life is to set a boundary between what you think about, what you allow yourself to think about in bed. Like, your bed is not the place to solve problems. Your bed is not the place to go through your to-do list. Your bed is not the place to regurgitate all of these events, from yesterday in your mind. It's not the place to, again, solve problems. It's not the place to watch TV. It's not the place to play video games. It's not the place to watch or read a book on your Kindle. And for clients who come to me with I struggle to fall asleep, we clean all this up because we need to create a physical boundary in your space, a spatial boundary, so that as soon as you walk in your bedroom, you're unconscious, your subconscious knows it's time to sleep. And the same goes for when you're in your bed. Your bed is a spatial boundary. Does this make sense to you guys? Let me know in the comments. Is this making sense to you? Or you can continue to stay quiet. You can continue to be quiet and, not interact. But remember, this is a pattern, a habit of yours, right? If you're not interacting, you're not really going to learn, right? You're not taking things away for your own experience. So here's, if you're struggling, if your thinking is keeping you up in bed, you get to set a boundary. And what does this look like? You remind yourself when your mind is going wild, when you're lying in bed, you remind yourself, hey, this is not the place for this right now. And you can pretty that up. You can put that in your own language, make it sound in a way that helps you relax. Obviously, use your own words. But you want to remind yourself, this is not the place for that. Like, we're not problem solving here. Like, I can take care of this tomorrow. I will take care of this tomorrow. And oftentimes this relaxes our subconscious. If we just delay it. There's a strategy that I teach my clients called delaying. You can delay things and your body will relax. So great. I will schedule time to worry tomorrow. You can actually set a boundary like this. I will schedule a time to worry tomorrow. Like, I will put it on my calendar. Put it on your calendar if it helps you relax. Tell yourself, I will schedule time to worry between 12 and 1 p.m. There you go. So you get to do that if you want. But by the time the next day rolls around, it's gone, right? It doesn't matter. It's always going to pass, right? So knowing this, you don't need to solve this in bed. Stop trying to solve things in bed. Okay? Another bullet here is to begin to accept whatever's going on. Oftentimes, if there's anxiety and fear, it's because there's resistance. You're like resisting something. Maybe you don't want to accept something, right? You don't want to deal with something. So you end up pushing it away. Anxiety and fear comes from just pushing and resisting things. So what if you were to just accept whatever was going on? Like, okay, this is the case, right? Doesn't mean you sit on your butt. Doesn't mean you don't change things. It just means that you're not going to try and solve anything right there, right now. Does that make sense? And once again, for you guys tuning in, hop into the link in the description if you want to interact with this video, if you want to ask questions, if you want to comment, if you want to get feedback. I cannot see your comments in the Facebook group. You're going to have to go to the eCam link in the description, and I can see all your comments from there. So join me and interact with me at that link in the description. So as we wrap up here are the major points. Here are the major bullets when it comes to healing and getting rid of overthinking forever. You can just by watching this video, your issue with overthinking should be gone. And if you're just tuning in, go back and rewatch this. I'll send out the replay later. Again, if you're just tuning in, sign into the video in the description, in the link in the description. And then I can see your comments and feedback and questions. Go back and watch this video. Overthinking is not, it doesn't make any sense. It's not real. You can't overthink. You can't underthink. Where's the line? You can't draw a line because they don't exist. You're thinking or you're not. Hear that? You're thinking or you're not. You're either doing thinking or you're not. See that? But what we classify as overthinking is thinking that tends to create emotions in us like anxiety, fear, resistance, loneliness, paralysis. That's what we refer to as overthinking. And so you want to start working with that. That you can work with. You can work with your emotions, right? You can change your emotions. You can change how you feel. You cannot change the word overthinking. You can't change that. So just throw that out and focus on, what are you thinking about? Like, how do you know you're overthinking? What's in your experience? Again, these are the first few questions I ask clients in a private session. How do you know you're overthinking? What is your experience of overthinking? And again, it's going to be something like, I can't fall asleep. I feel anxious. I can't concentrate, right? It's going to be something along these lines. I have trouble focusing. Okay? That we can play with. That we can change. We can shift our focus. We can shift fear. We can shift anxiety. See that? We can't shift overthinking. See that? And then the next thing is to start setting boundaries with yourself. Like, enough letting your mind do whatever it wants and wander wherever it wants. Stop allowing that, right? Like, stop letting your mind wander when you're in bed at night. You can turn that off. And it takes a little bit of skill and strategy. It's not about pushing thoughts away. That, again, if you're resisting something, you're always going to have anxiety or fear. It's not about resisting. It's about setting a boundary. And again, a boundary I use in bed is when I find my thoughts are running amok. And again, tune in and drop your comments below. How do you experience overthinking? I guarantee you probably haven't been asked these questions before. And this is why you're struggling with overthinking. You haven't been asked this before. How do you experience overthinking? Drop it in the comments. How do you know? What is happening in your experience? Okay? And then if it's a feeling of anxiety, work with the anxiety. There's so many techniques out there to work with anxiety, and hypnosis being one of them. Just one of them. There's so many out there. If there's fear, then take care of all of this stuff tomorrow. You can take care of all of this tomorrow. Delay your worry, delay your fear, set a timer. Set a timer, a chunk of time for you to worry tomorrow. This will work fantastic. Try this tonight. Do this tonight. Set a boundary when you're in bed. I am not going to focus on these things. I am not going to try to problem solve anything in bed. This bed is not the place to problem solve. Do this tonight and delay it. I will problem solve tomorrow. I will worry tomorrow. Whatever helps you relax, fill that in. And you will be surprised how quickly you can relax and go to sleep. This is so magical when you start actually working with your nervous system rather than fighting it. If you're just tossing down a pill, you're just fighting your nervous system. You're not learning the language of your body, of your unconscious. And that's what you want to start to, if you want to master your emotions, if you want to master your focus, because that's where your results in life come from, what you're focusing on and the actions you're taking. So if you really want to transform the results you're seeing in your life, you got to switch your focus. You got to shift your attention. And because of that, you'll start to feel different. You'll start to have different experiences. So like this video, let me know if this helped you. Again, for those of you who just tuned in, I want to welcome you all to the Beat Your Anxiety group. This is the group for people who are struggling with anxiety and are here for the truth, who want to know the truth, who just want to heal themselves. You're tired of relying on doctors and pills and therapists for years on end, right? This is how you master your emotions. So have a great rest of your Wednesday, guys. Rewatch this video if you're tuning in now. And stay tuned for Ask Me Anything on Friday. And I will be back to ask, and I'll be here to answer your questions. So go back, rewatch this video if you're tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Friday. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.